What's going on, everyone? So we got a video here by Dreamcast guy saying Sony needs to delay the PlayStation 6. No one wants the PlayStation 6. Okay, here's the thing. Yeah, it's too early to even think about that. It's not that people wouldn't want the PS6. You know, obviously there's a hardcore base that's always going to want the next gen console. Definitely with the bigger bases like Nintendo and PlayStation. But I say right now, it shouldn't even be a thing to think about coming out, obviously. Then you got like fanboys that we'll see in this video, like TM, who I've said he's just a Sony fanboy, talk about they're targeting a 2027 launch. And I'm like, why would you even post that considering the DRAM crisis, the SSD crisis, the GPU increase from AMD, and other things coming around the corner? Sony's not going to want to pay that much for those parts when they can delay it into 2028 late, which I think it should come out. So that's kind of what I want to highlight in here. And we got some other stuff to talk about on why it needs to be delayed as well, because of how broken this generation was. And people didn't get what they deserved this generation and the optimization that they deserved. Left them with the AI shortcuts taken. So let's get into this. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Let's go.
PlayStation 6, because here on the channel for the last couple months we've been talking a lot about the PlayStation 6 leaks, whether it is the powers, the specs, the fact that there's actually going to be two separate PlayStation 6 consoles, a handheld one and a standard next gen one. But this weekend there was a very big debate about the PlayStation 6, but specifically just one point: delay it. Push it back. It's rumored to be coming here literally maybe in 2027. People are saying, I want to see it no sooner than 2030. This might be the
2030 is definitely a bit of a stretch because I don't think Sony's going to do that. But what I was saying is that what made more sense is late 2028, because now you have to delay it minimally a year back because you want better prices on those components. Like I was telling people before, you can't put together something when you have to pay a fortune for it and then say, now I want to manufacture 10 million for next year. When you paid that much the year before for all those parts, they're going to try to charge you more. So in order for Sony to avoid that, if they want to make this thing at least $700, otherwise it'll be going past that. There's some people talking about $500, $600. Man, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. I said before, if there was none of this nonsense, $600 would have been a sweet deal. But I'm telling you right now, $700. Because you're not going to launch that and it's going to be cheaper than the PS5 Pro. What are we talking about here? You know what I mean? Who knows if that has to go up? None of that makes any sense. So if Sony wants to avoid that, they have to wait for this AI bubble to pop. And I'm telling you right now, with them saying 2026 and beyond, dude, 2028 late, it has to be like the most intelligent thing to think about, at least at the earliest. And plus, you need to finish this generation.
first console generation that I've seen people not excited about next gen, actually actively pushing against it, saying maybe the PlayStation 5 should be the end of PlayStation. Let's talk, because I think a lot of this comes down to potential and honestly just that we're really hitting those graphical limits. When you were playing stuff on the PlayStation 1 and you started to think about the PlayStation 2, look at the graphical leap from Final Fantasy 7 to Final Fantasy 10, which came out relatively close together. These are generational leaps. I remember the first time I actually played Grand Theft Auto 4 on the PlayStation 3, it seemed photorealistic. Those early HD TVs, which kind of sucks compared to current 4K tech, those early HD TVs, seeing a game like Infamous, there was so much PlayStation 3 of a graphical leap. And again with the PlayStation 4, it really does feel like we're starting to hit diminishing returns. Can you really make games look better? Can you really make games play better? Can you really make games that are better? I don't think you can. I really am starting to get afraid that what if this is kind of the limits of gaming?
Well, the diminishing return is definitely getting much higher. Sean Layden said this. Tons of other people in the industry have been saying this, that's going to happen. The difference now is in performance at higher settings and adding in insane sound effects like ray tracing, you know what I mean? Deeper cores of ray tracing, path tracing. You see what I mean? And to master that, that's going to take a lot of times because that can reflect off a whole bunch of things in your environment. And they can always add more aspect to that. Like you see AMD coming with the Radiance cores. Radiance is sun aspects. So it's now getting deeper into the sun's development, into the creation of games. And yeah, that can take a long time. So players at this point are going to be like, look, man, if I could get my 60 frames per second at 4K now, that's going to be amazing. If I get my 1440p at 120, and I see the PS6 is going to do that when it's in an affordable range, I'm going to do that. But a lot of people are always going to take that baseline because most people are not graphics whores unless you get caught up in like this digital foundry world, which I love digital foundry, but what I mean is like the majority of gamers want to be able to experience and play and have some solid performance. If they got that, everything else is fine. Because everything nowadays, even mobile games look really good. It's not about graphics. This is where Nintendo was wise, because they never chased power. Western society has this power trip delusion of talking about these overbragged specs, and I'm like, I mean, you're saying that, but nobody needs that. You know what I mean? And then you got these AI shortcuts to make you think that that was there, but it's like, no, everything is fine. It's not about that. It's about giving people what they wanted, really good video games. You see what I mean? Great story, great direction, high replay value, good community feedback with the community if you have an online game, affordability, balance of good content and not just over gambling, microtransactioning you to death. You want good writing, you want memorable characters, and you just want really good video games, and you want them to where it's just consistently released like that. You don't want broken nonsense. You don't want cheap AI nonsense. You don't want the same boring Ubisoft open world that you played 100 times that you just you feel like you're some package or dog that's running to this marker to chase down. You know what I mean? Where it's like all this stuff is very generic and it's a bunch of bundled imitations of other people's stuff, and they keep on releasing the same thing over again, and then they psychologically exploit you and give you this broken game and then keep fixing it over time. Like, people are tired of that. They're tired of the Unreal Engine 5 nonsense too, with the stuttering and all that. It's not really graphics, it's about everything else that really matters that makes a game great, because that's just the cover art in the end. But if I'm opening up this coded present and inside of it is nonsense, that's why people go back and play older games. Because once again, like I'm saying, even on Steam, you've seen that. It's not about graphics. That's not what makes a game great. Now, if you have all those facets and then you have great graphics added on with that, now you have a complete package, and that's what people want. So they need to be feeling good when they're playing the game and having a good time. If that feeling isn't there, it doesn't matter what it looks like. So let's go.
Let's talk. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go through the leaks about what the PlayStation 6 is before we really dive into the debate, the anger, and why it feels like there were so many viral posts this weekend saying, don't give me the PlayStation 6, even as PlayStation fans are literally saying, PlayStation 5 feels like it just got started. We are now 5 years into the console generation of the PS5, and you can name the amount of actual first-party banger exclusives on one hand easily. But here's the thing, PS6 is less than 2 years away. How is this even possible?
No, Dreamcast guy, that guy's a fanboy. He just wants to constantly blow Sony and say dumb stuff without having a brain cell and realizing that they're not going to do that with the way this market insanity is going on with the DRAM crisis, the SSD crisis, and everything else. There's no way Sony is trying to do this in 2027 now. They're going to have to delay this stuff back. They can ride on the GTA 6 success and continue finishing strong like you did with the PS4 and be fine. And it is going to be that, because otherwise you're going to get bad responses for the PS6 if it has to be overpriced. I don't see Sony doing that because they're always about balancing the price and not charging way too much. They seem to give good deals too. I know Sony, they're going to wait. I'm telling you, 2028. I don't, even in, you know what's so funny? Even before all this went on, I don't know if you guys remember when Sony and Microsoft were battling in the FTC court case for Activision. Even in the documents, it said 2028. Usually console cycles last somewhere around that time. And if it said that around that time, and you're thinking about the delays and setbacks and how much people are going to have to suffer for price parts, because it already said Sony was good till mid-2026. They said this is going to go on beyond 2026. So if they're thinking about gathering PlayStation parts and this moron is talking about 2027, dude, you'd have to start manufacturing it in late 2026 or early 2027 to even be able to get that up and going. And in order to start manufacturing, you must have the parts already ready because you're ready to manufacture everything. So they have to start gathering that in 2026. No. They're going to have to pay a fortune for that because it's going to be DDR6. That's going to be more expensive than anything. And the AI data feed is getting all of that. It's going to have to be delayed. Just like the Steam machine is going to have to be delayed. The magnets may get canceled or delayed. The Switch 2 Lite or the Switch 2 OLED, which I don't think was coming out to 2027, 2028 anyways. All this stuff has to get pushed back because nobody wants to pay for those parts like that and have to charge that much. For him to say that just shows how out of touch he is with reality, or he's just fantasizing like a fanboy, like a pony. Literally. He's not being intelligent.
PlayStation 6 is confirmed to be on the way and reportedly set to launch in the fall of 2027.
No.
There have also been some leaks that maybe it'll fall to like early or summer 2028, but even then, that's coming up incredibly close. We're literally 9 days away from freaking 2026. How wild, right? There's going to be some PlayStation exclusives that are apparently already in full-blown development, including Hideo Kojima's new stealth action game. Basically, he's making a new sort of...
Excuse me.
I mean, there's no other way to say it. He's basically making a new Metal Gear Solid, right?
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, right? This is clearly the other big push. So what they're trying to do right now is there's going to be a PlayStation 6 handheld. Think of it as like a Nintendo Switch 2, an extra juicy, extra big, beefy handheld. It is dockable.
No, it's not a Switch 2 because it's not going to have its own exclusives in its own dedicated world. It's going to be the extension of the PlayStation ecosystem, which is still going to be nice, but nothing is the Switch except the Switch. Everything else is extensions of their own ecosystems. They're not a dedicated world where it's like, these are exclusives that are only for here. Because it's one process. It's not separated. But it's a wannabe Switch 2 with Sony putting their specs on there because everybody wants to copy Nintendo. Just have to say it. I mean, that's pretty obvious. And this is going to have to get delayed too, because why would Sony want to charge way more for that handheld and sit there looking like they're anti-consumer, charging out the ass for that, because this market is greedy and it's turned into a cartel industry in a gaming sense where there's these big monopolies and they're controlling all the supply and they're giving you these insane prices. So I'm all for more things like this happening just for Steam Deck 2, but everything is going to have to get delayed. Just as the PS6 is going to get delayed with the Magnus if it doesn't get canceled, this is going to get delayed as well. I'm telling you, it doesn't make sense for Sony once again, because this is going to be like PS5 specs. You're in the same position as all the other hardwares using those parts. There's no escaping this. It's the same thing.
And apparently what they're trying to do is they're currently making a bunch of developers work on the power-saving mode of the PlayStation 5. Essentially, here's a way to play your game with the lowest power usage so it can be played portably. Apparently, this is literally going to be a portable PS5. I'm almost in the camp where I don't even care about having a PlayStation 6 as much as I guess I'd just like to have the idea of playing an actual native, non-streamed portable PS5. But here's the tweet that really kicked the debate off. Look at this. This came out December 19th, so it came out Friday night. Look at this. 17,000 likes for saying nobody cares about the PlayStation 6 for now. Sony should not even tease it for several years. I think the PS5 can be done until 2030 without issues. Give me more PS5. Don't give me the PS6 for a long time.
They're not going to do 2030. It's a bit of a stretch. But I'm telling you right now, that's what I'm telling people. 2027 is a delusion. It's like people are thinking a Magnus was coming out next year. It's like, yeah, okay. If you still think that now, then you're out of touch with reality. No. 2028 late, I'm telling you, is a good target. And I'm saying that as like, no, this is where I would put my placeholder at in 2028 late. You know what I mean? 2027, forget about it, because I already explained to you guys why. Because of what you have to do before that to say, now I can start making these and I need a year to do all this. Yeah, no. You're not paying for those parts that much. You're going to be competing with the AI data feed. Good luck. It's not going to happen. You're going to be getting charged like crazy. So we understand this now. Like, I don't know why people are getting into this fantasy, but I get what this guy's saying. At least that is like saying, man, just give us a longer generation. But I don't think Sony's going to do that. Not to 2030 though. That's crazy.
Now, what's interesting is that this is Pio. Pio is honestly one of the biggest, craziest, most exuberant PlayStation fans on Twitter. I mean, this guy literally has videos ripping open PlayStation boxes with his teeth. This guy loves it. Now, some people are mad at Pio specifically for saying this, saying if they release the PlayStation 6, you'll still buy a Sony pony. I think what he's saying is that for the health of PlayStation, it does feel like, in a way, they're just trying to treat this like a normal generation when it's not. We had crazy console shortages for the first couple years of the PS5. Development was clearly extremely delayed. We only really started getting first-party exclusives in 2023. We're really only about 3 years into what was clearly intended to be like a 7-year generation. Give me more PS5. Do not give me PS6 for a long time. Now, people are basically saying, PS6 won't offer anything more than the current PS5 gen. It's already got super fast solid state drive. It'll take years until we get anything truly next gen. For me, it's better to wait to get most out of the PS5. When the PS6 comes, all they can do is make it a good upgrade and there's portable. Can you buy a home console or a hybrid device? That, I feel, is the new way. Look at this. PlayStation 5 Pro has enough power to last until 2028-2029. It'll also give the PS5 a longer tail to sell more units and surpass the PlayStation 4. I really don't think the PS6 launches in 2027 now. RAM shortages will, of course, be why. Anything after 2028 is perfect. Now, we're going to come back to this in a second. There is definitely a lot of talk that if for some reason they do sort of rush a PlayStation 6, we're easily going to see a $1,200 console. I mean,
why would they do that? It doesn't make sense when they can wait and get the perfect aspects. It's not going to happen. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, even though he's butthurt and so has to be blocked. But November 2028, that's what I'm saying. Late 2028 and beyond. That's the placeholder I'm putting there. You thinking anything else is not understanding the game and what you would do in that situation. It is not reasonable and intelligent. Why would Sony do that and screw their generation? They're not going to do that. They can't afford to do that. So I'm telling you guys right now, that right there, November 2, yeah, that right there makes a lot of sense. Anything else is like, no.
I'm literally in that camp. People are already sort of talking about the leaked specs and what it would cost with current day tech. If this thing comes out in 2027, there's no way it's going to cost less than $1,000. And who's actually going to buy it? Do you remember the conversation when it was literally the $600 PlayStation 3? Do you know how bad that sold? Literally, even just that. What the heck? You're trying to make something that, even adjusted for inflation is like double the price, right? We do not need a PlayStation 6 anytime soon. The PS5 generation really only started in 2023 due to the lockdowns delaying the generational jump by years. We've barely scratched the surface of what the PS5 can do. Most games are still cross-gen. Give PS5 another 5 years. Look at this. Look at this. 5,000 likes. So I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that
people are understanding, that once again, that's also being goofy and just not being smart. No, they're going to do 3 more years. What I think somewhere around there. 5 years is ridiculous. That's the point of keeping cross-gen there. You don't have to worry about leaving it behind because cross-gen is there. They're not going to do that. PS6 is going to be like late 2028, 2029 at the latest, I believe. But I think Sony wants to push for 2028. We need to find the right balance point here at the most intelligent position. You see what I mean? I'm telling you guys right now, 2028. After that, Sony feels like they're going to be pushing it. But I understand what people are saying. We're good on PS6 for a long time when PS5 games already look like this. But that's kind of not the point of the way Sony's seeing it, though. It's literally just the way the cycle works. So I get what you guys are saying. But I think people want their PS6 to be able to play everything at 60 frames per second, no matter what, and beyond, 70, 80 frames per second. They're going to want that. Maybe not the whole world, but a good amount will definitely do that. But that's going to have to be, like I said, 2028. So I kind of get the idea of this video of showing that there's a lot of people saying they're good because they're happy with the way things look. And like I said, because it's not about graphics. Even Shuhei Yoshida said this. PS6 is going to have to be about more than power. That is very true. What is Sony going to do with the PlayStation 6 that's going to make it more attractive than just thinking about power? And if people are saying this now, this is why a lot of people don't have insane high-end PCs. And Bob was trying to say that. I'm trying to tell you, that's why I tell people, you're thinking too much about power. Nintendo was never dumb about that. That's why they sell what they sell, because that's not the average gamer. So everything is good enough to where it is now. I'm not disagreeing with Dreamcast guy on that. I'm just saying that I'm telling you how I know Sony works and how this industry works. You can't stay like that. Like people can say, we're good on this phone because it does this for a long time. You think they're going to stop dropping new phones though? No. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to leave behind the other stuff because that's just how this industry works. So that's kind of what I wanted to do to cover this. The rest of this is just basically talking about other people's point of view on PlayStation and why they think, gaming is getting a lot more expensive. Next gen Xbox and PS6 just might be cooked and how they want to wait. And we've talked about this before. I've done coverage about how I said because of that stuff right there when it comes to RAM, SSDs, and all this stuff getting crazy and it becoming like a cartel industry, that you could forget about everything getting its organic release date. No, it's going to be pushed back because ain't nobody going to be paying those ridiculous prices with these monopolies, and then other people cutting back on their supply and leaving it up to Samsung and a couple other people to control everything. Yeah, they're going to jack the price up because they know they can. So let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out. You know how it is. Later, y'all.